Liam Dougan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, brother. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has been a long time coming. Remember when you first reached out? How long ago was that?
About a year ago, I reached out and said, let's jump on a podcast. I don't even want to post it. I just want to come and talk.
And I shut you down pretty quickly. But I was very inspired by where you're at because I knew that at that stage,
Very new.
700 followers, but I felt this energy from you, this passion for what you were doing that was unlike many other people I'd seen before. I knew you were going somewhere and I said, hold on, hold ship. And how quickly has time come?
Crazy. Yeah, it was only a couple of months later where I bought a camera and actually started going full time with it. And then, yeah, one thing led to another and here we are.
What did life look like for you back then or even before that, before you even started getting into the gym?
So before the gym, working in construction full time, just your average tradie, drinking every weekend, just eating whatever I felt like it, working sort of 50, 60-hour weeks, waking up at 5 every morning just thinking, fuck, this is me. But there was a big belief in my mind that I know I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life just because I don't know what that is right now. One day this is going to pay off. These 50, 60-hour weeks in construction pays good money. Whatever I'm going to need to do in the future is going to need some sort of money to start off, you know what I mean? So as much as I wouldn't even say it sucked at the time. I'm a big believer on you could put me in any sort of room and I'll make the best out of it. I was working in construction. You hear a lot of people say they hate their job. I rocked up every day with a good attitude, love my job, because I remember I always used to think like, I'm going to work here for the next 2 years. I could either hate every day or I could learn to love it. I could be better at my job or I could rock up late. You know what I mean? Like I think I can enjoy this as much as I'm willing to do. You know what I mean?
Where does that positive attitude come from?
I think it all ties back to, not to get like deep with it, but it all ties back to you have one life. Why live it unhappy? Like I'm a big believer on put me in the worst circumstance and I'll still rock up with a smile on my face because what that I've gone through should be brought into the energy that I'm bringing onto you. You know what I mean?
I like that. It's easier said than done though. It's easy to slip into that victim mentality of poor me. How were you thinking? What were you thinking at the time, future-wise? I know for me, at least in my journey, it was very wanting my life to be perfect and have all these answers. So you were quite happy to be present in this job, not knowing where your future was going?
Yeah, very open. So the first year I was working, I didn't even go to the gym, didn't do anything, and I was just very open. I was happy. I was probably very content because I was getting good money. It paid me enough to go out on the weekends, buy the clothes that I want. I could do everything in that period of my life where I wanted to do. It wasn't until I started going to the gym where I thought, fuck, maybe I could venture down this. Like that's when my life sort of started to change of, I might start eating a little bit healthy. I might start actually working towards something, you know what I mean?
What was the turning point that shifted you into the gym?
As cliche as it sounds, I looked in the mirror and thought, fuck, do I really look like that? And I just remember thinking if this was my mindset from day one, if I go to the gym every day, I'll eventually get to a point where I like who I look at in the mirror. It started off as that. You start going to the gym and then you start eating a bit healthier and then you start taking it seriously. Then you start investing and you go down that pathway, you know what I mean? But from day one, it was literally as simple as I looked in the mirror. I didn't want to look like that. And I thought, fuck, I should start in the gym. And I'm very good at anything I've done in my life. I've done it to a very extent. You go back to high school and I played basketball, started shooting some hoops. Then we got a basketball court at the backyard and every night for probably 3 years, I was shooting, like 4 hours out the back by myself. So like anything I ever did. So I actually knew that first day when I stepped in the gym, I reckon I'm going to get into this. And my mate even said to me, he was the one dude that he sort of tried to get everyone into the gym and no one wanted to do it. First day in the gym, he said, I guarantee you'll stick with this. And years later, I'm a personal trainer, online coach, and I never looked back after that first day.
How does heartbreak tie into your story?
Fuck, I just got to keep drinking water. So that was a very interesting topic for me because I probably worded that not the right way in my video because it wasn't so much the idea that I was in, say, a toxic relationship or anything like that. It was the idea of I truly believe some of the best decisions you'll make are when you're at your lowest. When I broke up with my girlfriend, I was like, fuck, what do I actually want to do with my life? I've now gained however many hours by myself sitting there. And it wasn't because she was holding me back. I truly don't believe it was anything like that. It just took me to separate myself from anyone. I didn't want to see anyone for a few weeks. I literally just did nothing. And I remember thinking, maybe I get into personal training. And I started messaging people. I started understanding and learning, how do I become a personal trainer? Because at that point, you don't even know how. Started doing that, and I just remember thinking to myself, I will do whatever it takes to get there. Like, again, this is coming from a kid who's drinking every weekend, working in construction. I had no ambitions to do anything, and overnight I thought I could really make something out of this. I don't know how, but I'll figure out how. There has to be a way that I can work towards this every single day, you know?
Relationships, so easy to get comfortable and complacent, right? Like, and then after the breakup, that activation energy is a huge catalyst to start investing into yourself. Like, it's this real turning point in a lot of people's journeys of like, hey, like, I don't have another person in my life right now. It's almost a look in the mirror, take the accountability sort of moment.
Yeah, 100%. And I look back on it as, again, I never speak bad on someone else. I would never say she did this or she did that. I would put it on my own behalf to say I was lazy. I didn't want to do anything. I was just happy. You know, you got a girlfriend. Let's go get some food on the weekend. Let's do this. Like, I didn't really care. I was pretty happy with that. And it wasn't until that was taken away, it was on my own behalf to go, fuck, what am I doing now? Like, there's got to be something more to this. I had an enjoyable life, and now it's like, fuck, I've got nothing now. I've got to work on something, and there's got to be something that my future beholds, you know what I mean?
Did you have any other ambitions, or were you quite comfortable to continue working a 9 to 5 for the rest of your life?
I actually wanted to be a math teacher, and then I found out I was shit at math, so I was like, that didn't really work out. Well, in a weird way, I always wanted to, the same reason I want to be a math teacher is because the same reason I want to become a personal trainer. I always found the fact fascinating that I could take this complex subject and teach it to anyone, because I knew if I could understand it, anyone can understand it. Because I have I don't like to sound like, you know, I struggle to learn or anything like that, but it takes me a lot to learn information. Like, I'll learn something, I'll forget it. I'll learn it again, I'll forget it. Maybe the third time I might remember it, you know what I mean? So the same reason I wanted to become a math teacher was when I was in school, I just remember thinking, I enjoy maths. I reckon I'd be able to teach this better than the teacher's trying to teach me now, because I don't understand the way they're trying to teach. And that's like people look at personal trainers and they get a bad rep because some personal trainers out there might not explain stuff very well. But I think if you can take a complex subject and teach it to someone and simplify it, like, you could, you know what I mean? You could actually change everything. And that was the reason I sort of become. So again, I wanted to be a maths teacher. That said, I'm not doing that. And then once I got into the gym, I thought, if I can learn this stuff, I will be able to teach it to anyone, because if I understand it, I can see, you know what I mean? Like, that was my key mindset. And even around my mates, like, if my mates are the same as me, I was like, if I can teach my mates, I can teach anyone on this earth. You know what I mean?
So you framed a weakness into an opportunity.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's smart. What about at the time, like, drinking? Did you feel stuck in a cycle, or is it still just, it was in that middle ground of comfort where life was okay, you were happy, but not, you know, truly fulfilled?
I would honestly say I was never in a bad mindset, and I don't think I was stuck in a cycle. I was very open to the idea that, and I still am to this day, if I want to go do something, I'll go and do it. And I never looked at it like, fuck, I'm going out, I can't stop drinking. I never got to that point where it was actually taking over my life to the point where I didn't have a choice if I'd go out every weekend. I was happy to do it. There was nothing negatively affecting my life. I worked, I earned my money, I got to spend it on the weekends and have the best time of my life with my mates. And at the end of the day, there's got to be a period in everyone's life where for an extended period of time, probably don't really make any progress. I probably didn't make progress for 6 months there, but I was completely fine with that. It wasn't so much that I couldn't get out of it, it's that I was open to staying in it, if you know what I mean.
Do you think as a society we're too obsessed with improvement?
Yes and no. Like, you could take to the extremes and say some people are, but then you could take it to the other extreme and say some people are definitely not even close, you know what I mean?
Do you think people discredit their journey with alcohol and sort of shame a part of themselves out of fear? They're trying to change, they're trying to become a better person, but they almost just shame this part of themselves because, you know, they're scared of...
I'm a big believer in that, and that's why I sort of, you know, you sort of distance yourself from the friend group that you started drinking with when you stopped drinking, right? But I was never one to shit on people. I was never one to be like, I'm doing this now and you should follow me or anything like that. I was so open to, there was even weekends there where I'd go out with them and I didn't drink or whatever it may be, but I was so open to, these are my mates, just because I'm on a different pathway now, it doesn't make me any better, it doesn't make me any different. There might have been a mate that before me started stopped drinking. You know what I mean? There's probably a few of them now that have stopped drinking, and I knew there's got to come a time where you start to venture off into your own journey. But I'm a big believer on, if one point in your life you were so invested into it, you can't next day wake up and think you're a changed person and then talk shit on it. You know what I mean? I was a big believer on, once I got into my own journey, it's like, man, you just keep doing what you think. I was there one time and I still enjoyed it, and I still there's probably a few times in my life where I'll go back to that point where I'm, might go have a couple of drinks on the weekend and enjoy myself, but I'm never one to be a hypocrite and talk bad on other people. You know what I mean?
It's very refreshing perspective on change. You often see, I think a lot of people change, and this is probably me, like you change and you're fearful of becoming that version of yourself because you hated yourself so much during that time that anyone and anything that was associated with that point in time becomes a source of fear that you're going to venture back into that. So you wake up and your mind is basically signaling that anyone or anything who was here could lead you back to this path, whereas you're more open to be like, hey, I have the trust within myself to not become fearful of this.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like that all drives back to the point where I was never negatively self-talking. I never hated myself. I was always very open to whatever I was doing. Like, I feel like, as weird as it sounds, I was just as happy then as I'm as now. Like, because I actively chose to go out and do the things that I wanted to do. You could say I got to do everything I wanted to do 2 years ago, because every weekend I wanted to go out and drink. I was able to do that. Whether I look at that now and fuck, I couldn't think of anything worse. I literally could not think of anything worse. That's my biggest fear of, like, you know what I mean, going back to that point. But I still wouldn't look back on that, because at that period of time, I was happy to do it. In this like scenario that I'm in right now, I physically could not go back to that position, right? But in that point in my life, I could. You know what I mean? Who's to say, if I didn't live that part of my life, would I be here today? If I didn't experience it at that point in my life, would I have decided to get into the gym? Like, there's so many pathways that I look into of the reason everything's laid out in my life is the reason I've gotten to where I am today. So who's to say if I stopped that period of my life, I would be in the position I am today? Do you know what I mean?
So you're grateful for those experiences, because did it give you the fuel, or did it give you the perspective of almost the inversion of, here's who I don't want to be, now I know who I want to be? Or did it, like, how did this experience shape, I guess, the action and the transformation? What was your thinking?
As weird as it sounds, it was all driven by the gym. So again, I started going to the gym, and then everyone goes through this journey. You start to go to the gym, that's the first step. I might start eating a bit more protein. I don't even know what that means, but I'm going to start eating a bit more protein. I might start eating a little bit healthy. My next thing was I want to get better at sleep. I was always tired. No matter what I did, I was just tired. I wanted to sleep all day. Bang, get into my sleep. And then the next thing was, I'm not making much progress drinking every weekend. I'm actually not progressing in the gym. I look the same after 6 months of going to the gym, or whatever it may be, right? It's like, I'm not actually progressing in the gym. And then that was the initial reason to stop drinking, because it was like, fuck, I actually want to progress in what I'm doing here. And then obviously you go further and further down that pathway, and before you know it, you're a year into your gym journey. You're now eating healthy, you're sleeping good, you're not drinking near as much. You know what I mean? You're actually on an improvement journey. I started journaling, I started reading books, and now I'm onto this pathway of like, fuck, this all just started from betting myself in the gym to the point where I think it's the same thing. You go into drugs and alcohol, you get sick of alcohol, you start taking drugs. You get sick of that drug, you start taking another one. So I did that sort of on my improvement journey of, I started going to the gym. Sweet, what else? How can I make this better? Sweet, I started eating better. I want to sleep better. You know what I mean? Like it sort of just got on that overlapped pathway of, how can I keep doing what I'm doing but get 1% better at it? And then, fast forward to now, and all of these things have sort of come together.
And the key is just to start. But at that point in time, you have no idea how the path is going to play out. You would have no idea that you would end up going down social media and having nearly 30,000 followers, and now being able to do full-time coaching. Like, you have no idea when you step into the gym, that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, I'd stand there for that and say, no fucking way I thought I'd be here today. Even like you say 6 months ago, let alone 3 years ago when I started going to the gym, like, nah, definitely no way. I think I always had a fulfillment in social media. I always wanted to be on social media. I didn't know what that was. I tried a few different things. I was a Fortnite YouTuber. I had a basketball fan page. Like, I always wanted to do social media. I never knew how. And I was probably always, even before the gym, I was always that guy that probably posted a little bit more. Didn't know what I wanted to post, but I just remember thinking I like posting. It was always enjoyment to me. And then once I sort of got into coaching, I was like, sweet, this is going to be an area of my journey that I'm going to excel in because I have that enjoyment with social media. There's a lot of coaches out there, love the training aspect, couldn't think of anything worse than speaking in front of a camera. Whereas that excitement is the best like part of my day. I loved speaking in front of a camera. I always looked at it as I could make one video that could change not one life, it could change 10, could change 100, could change 1,000. You know what I mean? So I always had that passion for social media, but I never knew how I would get into it. And obviously, again, as the stones, what do you say? As you step on the stones, or the further you get, I sort of started again with that improvement pathway. I remember I got to a day where I was like, I got to start posting content. You know what I mean? And then that sort of happened, and here we are. Can't stop drinking water. My mouth's that dry.
Yeah, a bit thirsty. Yeah, I've got a Camel over here.
Bro, I'm so bad with it. My mouth gets so dry.
What do you reckon from? Probably from about 10,000 milligrams of caffeine.
Nah, I'm not a caffeine addict. I'm very strategic with my caffeine most times. I'm very I'll have one coffee when I work and then a bit of pre-workout before I train, or if I'm doing like an activity like a podcast.
But you don't have it before you, like after waking? Do you wait like 2 hours or something?
I'm strategic. No caffeine within like 10 to 12 hours of bed. Well, mainly like 10 hours before bed. No caffeine within 90 minutes of waking up. Like there's some mornings I'm looking at my watch and it's like 3 minutes to go. Like I'm that bad. I know it doesn't need to get to that point, but I'm definitely like 90 minutes. It's usually 7 o'clock on the dot. Sweet. Let's have a sip of coffee.
What would your advice be to someone who hasn't started their journey? They're probably in a similar position to you, in the comfortable job, you know, in the same friendship groups, in the same patterns of life, but they have this feeling that there's something more they are. They want to start a business, start social media, start the gym. What would be your advice?
I'm a big believer on there's only so much advice you could give, right? So I always get DM'd on, you know, what's the best way to lose weight or best way to do this, or if you want to do something, you'll figure out a way to do it. No matter what it is, you need that initial drive in yourself. I could give you the best piece of advice in the entire world. You could wake up tomorrow and not do anything with it, right? I truly believe you need that bit of fire in yourself, and that needs to come within. Like that needs to come from within, I should say. Like exactly like I did. Once I figured out I want to be a personal trainer, I was like, I'm going to do everything in my power to get there. At that point, I had no drive. But if someone would have told me a month before that, hey, bro, you should stop drinking and start bettering your life, I would have been like, you know what I mean? I'm a big believer on there's only advice is given where advice is want to be taken. You know what I mean? You can only help someone that wants to be helped. I'm a big advocate for like, there's no point in helping people that don't want to be helped, but there's, you know, people always want the answer before they've even figured out the question for themselves. You know what I mean?
The teacher appears when the student is ready.
Exactly. Like, and I believe that people already want the advice before they start, but I'm like, you need to start in order to get the advice. I didn't really reach out to anyone or anything before because I didn't have any goals or aspirations. And it wasn't until that I want to start going to the gym and I started watching YouTube videos. And like at the end of the day, YouTube University, you could learn anything in this world to grow a business, to start social media, to go to the gym. There's so much information out there. What's my advice to someone gonna change? But in the same sentence, I think you almost need to go through to a point where you can actually look at yourself in the mirror and you actually don't like who you are. Like there's got to be that point in your life, whether it be your physique, whether it be where your financial position or whatever that may be. I feel like everyone's got to come to a period of, I don't like where I'm at now and I got to change. Like Higher Up Wellness says, the fear of staying the same has to outweigh the fear of changing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have to sit there and go, fuck, going to the gym 5 days a week is going to be shit, but sitting at home on my couch is probably going to be shitter. You know what I mean?
Choose your regrets.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a big push for loving yourself into change, self-compassion, self-acceptance. What do you make of loving yourself into change versus changing through a place from a place of fear?
I think not everyone's. I think a lot of people's journeys should and do start from a fear standpoint, and eventually it gets to a point where you want to do better. Like it eventually gets to a point where it's driven to, for example, I wanted to start in the gym because I hated the way I looked. That's not the reason I go to the gym now. I love going to the gym. I want to better my life. I want to feel good. I want to look good. I want to be healthy, right? So I think starting off, I honestly think it's very healthy to be in an uncomfortable position and actually not enjoy where you're at. use that motivation to start it, but you can't use that fear factor forever. Otherwise, you're going to hate the gym for the rest of your life, or you're going to hate growing a business, or whatever that future beholds for you. There's only so much of that period that can be driven through fear. Otherwise, you're just going to be negatively self-talking the entire way. You're going to hate everything you do, and there's going to come a time where you just think, fuck this. It's the reason I started this journey is because I knew I'd get to a point where I'm going to love myself, where I'm going to be happy with everything, you know what I mean? And I think you need that initial spark, whether it comes from a breakup, whether it comes from this, whether it comes from being overweight. You know, people put on weight. I feel like there's got to be a bit of I don't like myself now, so I'm going to change. And once you get into that pathway, it'll eventually become it's something you want to do. I don't have to go to the gym. I fucking love the gym. I don't have to post on social media. I love posting on social media, you know what I mean? But maybe when I started, I was like, fuck, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean?
So when we transition from fear to love, right? So this fear kickstarts our journey. It ends up being the catalyst for a lot of change. So we start attributing the cause of change to our mindset, which was fear, the constant obsession and worrying about, you know, not being good enough or not being at this finish line. It's this like potent fuel source that we're using. It's unsustainable, but it's all we know for positive change. How do we let go of that and actually embrace more from a place of love?
I think only time will tell. Who's to say that might be 6 months into someone's journey, or it might be 4 weeks, you know what I mean? Like, I think time will tell as in there's no set rule book to say if you go to the gym for the next 3 weeks, you're going to love it. I probably went to the gym. I was probably very lucky. From pretty early on, I enjoyed the gym. Some people are 4 months into the gym and still hate going every day. Some people are 2 years into the gym and still hate it. Like, you know, and still use that initial fear to show up every day. So I feel like there's no such thing as a rule book, but again, time will tell. Like, you're not going to figure that out until you just keep showing up and doing it. Like, you just got to keep showing up. And I truly believe eventually it'll happen. Whether it happens overnight, whether it takes you a year to do so, there's got to be a point in your journey where you start to get motivated by actually wanting to be motivated rather than having to be motivated or having to be disciplined. And because at the end of the day, you know, you start this improvement journey, and again, as much as you're improving, you're actually hating everything you're doing. You hear people like, fuck, I don't want to go to the gym. Eating healthy is so hard. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But there's got to come a point where you go, fuck, I love this. You know what I mean? And I really don't think there's anything that does factor into that apart from time. The more you do something, there's got to be a point. And to be honest, if it doesn't, maybe that pathway is not the right thing for you. I truly believe if it's something that's your passion, there will come a time where you actually enjoy it. You know what I mean?
I think the reason we don't love a lot of our experiences that lead to positive growth is because we don't realize how much fear is still existing within inside of us, right? Like, we're on this pathway to growth, but still there's this nagging voice at 9 o'clock at night saying you got to do more work, you've got to keep going, you've got to look better. You look in the mirror, you're still dissatisfied, it's still not good enough because all of your journey has been from this place of fear. It's like when you launching a rocket ship, right? And there's this, when you thrust initially into space, there's a huge amount of energy for that takeoff. But now you're floating in space and you're still trying to use that same amount of energy. You don't need to. You're able to let go of that. But it's very difficult because that's all you know now. You only know how to operate from a place of fear. And can someone learn that through time, or is there a way for people to collapse time and actually figure this out? Like, I think people become addicted to the chemicals of growth because there's adrenaline, there's dopamine, and our body starts to crave that feeling. So it becomes this addictive cycle that we get stuck in of the obsession with improvement because it's exciting for the mind, but it's also very tiring and unsustainable.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's where there's a fine line between negative self-talk and keeping yourself accountable. And I'm still figuring that out. I think everyone still is. There's a point where you go, and I personally, I hate when someone tells me, oh, you're going to overwork, you're going to work too hard and stuff like that, because I'm like, I know myself. I know when I'm being a little bit lazy. I know when I can be doing more. And that's the bad thing about social media. I probably look like I'm doing everything. It's like, fuck, this guy's always so busy. But there's times in my day where I think, fuck, you could be doing better than this. But at the same time, there's times where I'm doing everything I can. And like you said, at the end of the night, you're thinking, fuck, I could be doing better. And that's where it becomes, am I actually holding myself accountable, or am I actually, negatively self-talking to myself? Because there is a point of a limit where you get to and you can't do any more. But I think that point for a lot of people is a lot higher. And I think my main, or at least a big point in my journey, was journaling. Like once I started journaling, that was a big believer of mine I like, when I say big believer, I was a big believer in there's no way this could work. Fucking with a pen and paper, and I hated writing in school. Why would I want to go back to a pen and paper? And once I started writing down my goals, you know what I mean? I always used to write down, or I still do, sorry. I write down every day my goals for the day, things I'm grateful for, what worked well yesterday, and what can I do better today. And that sort of, like, once I started learning myself, it started becoming more of a motivational acceptance for improvement rather than a fear, because it was like a goal I was working towards now rather than, that's I pretty much just figured it out there. Like when I used to write stuff down, when I would write a goal down, I would shift my mindset of I'm no longer working to look like to get far away from where I started. I'm now working towards where I want to be. Whereas I was at the start, I was driven by not being that person. Once I started journaling, let's write some goals down. I now want to be this person. And once I shifted my perspective of I'm no longer motivated by the guy I was 3 years ago. I'm now motivated by the guy I'm going to be in 6 months. Where am I going to be in 6 months? How am I going to get there? Why am I going to get there? You know what I mean? And once I started understanding that is no longer me, that 6 month person though, that will be me soon. Like whether the goals are unbelievable right now. Once I sort of detached that emotion of, you know, I'm not the person I used to be, but I'm going to be the person I want to be soon. Like very fucking soon, you know?
I think there's a big push, I said, for people to stop being so hard on themselves, to have more self-compassion. I don't think there's a problem with being hard on yourself as long as you can also celebrate yourself as well. Yep. You know what I mean? Like if you've got a devil on one shoulder, you need a cheerleader on the other to balance it out, or else you're going to be stuck from that place of fear. I think we need reminders, you know, that life is short and let's get shit done. Let's improve. Let's see what's possible. But if we're only coming from that place of fear, we're going to condition into ourselves that fear of never being good enough and it not being enough. We need to be able to stop and appreciate. And that's where I think journaling and having a solid routine with that is good, to take a pause and see how far you've come.
100%. Like I said, I started off journaling with no structure, just write down whatever I was feeling. And then once I got to a point where I would sort of write down the same things every day. And obviously I started every day with, 3 to 5 things I was grateful for. And like, you start off with you're grateful for your family, your friends and stuff like that. But then once you're a couple weeks or months in, you start just realizing what you're actually grateful for. Like you've obviously got the top tiers that you're always going to be grateful for. But some days, like, man, I'm grateful to go to the gym without, being pain free. Like I'm grateful to whatever it may be. Like the stuff I would write I'm grateful for, you'd be like, how would someone even cheer for that? But I'm such a big believer on, celebrate the big wins, but if you can celebrate the small wins along the way, I'm grateful that yesterday I fucking bench pressed 100 kilos or whatever that may be, whatever that looks like in your own journey. Like you said, I think a lot of people on this, self-improvement journey are always focused on the next big thing. But I know for a fact in my journey, when I started journaling, I could start celebrating what I'm doing right now. Because sometimes even now, like you said before, you're nearly at 30,000 followers. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like there's still things that I do today where I'm like, you get ahead of yourself on this journey where you stop to actually go, fuck, I just wanted 1,000 followers. You know what I mean? Like you forget where you've actually started, and like exactly like you said, it's so good to, and I personally don't think there's anything better in this world to do than journaling, to accept that. Because before I started journaling, I was never, not that I wasn't very grateful, but I didn't understand what gratitude meant. I didn't understand that even on your shit days, you've still probably got a pretty good life. There's still so many things that you should be grateful for. And I feel like those things that you practice every day, whether it be your family, whether it be the house that you're living in, whether it be the podcast that you've got, there's things that you're going to be grateful for along the way that are going to keep you pushing forward. You know what I mean?
I feel like if we start to appreciate the small things, our mind starts to find more of that in our life. I think when we come from a place of fear, we hold this grand vision of the top of the mountain. We need to look like a certain way. And then as we go up, start climbing the mountain, we realize there was a bunch of clouds, and the mountain's actually even bigger, because the mountain is an illusion in our mind, right? There's never a destination. But I think when we're actually able to focus on the small wins, we'll realize that, turn around, look at the view.
Yeah, 100%. And, sometimes you do catch yourself like, you hear one of those motivational sort of quotes or something, and I heard one the other day to say, a year ago, you would have dreamt to be in the position you are today. Or like you've already done things that you told yourself you'd be happy once you get to there. And I'm like, it's so true. You know what I mean? I remember thinking once I get to this point, that's not that's it, but I remember thinking, fuck, that's going to be the best thing ever. And then you get to there and you're already on to the next thing. So I feel like it's such a good way to actually appreciate goals along the way. And I think that's been a big thing for me to actually navigate, again, the keeping yourself accountable, but actually celebrating the wins along the way. You know what I mean? A lot of people might say you're too hard on yourself, but I'm like, I don't think I am. I'm very appreciative of what I have done. I'm very, very grateful and very honored to do what I've done. I'm very proud, but I'm not content. I'm not even close to content. I've got so much more. And that, I don't think that's a negative thing. Like, a lot of people will tell me, oh, you're working too hard, or like, why you always take a day off or something like this. And I'm like, I'm happy with where I'm at. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy with where I've gotten to, and I'm very grateful. But I know, and again, it's just that never-ending fight that you're never going to really win. But I think you grow on that journey to actually understand, to be understanding on where you are now. Like, in that sometimes where you are now is where you fucking dreamt of being of. And it's good to actually just appreciate that, from time to time.
What are the warning signals when you're being too hard on yourself? Like, how do you differentiate between the healthy level of accountability within inside and the self-talk? When does it go too far and it's from a real place of fear, and you sort of need to rein in that voice? Like, how do you identify and make sure that it is a balanced voice?
Probably haven't figured that one out, to be honest.
Well, I don't think many of us have.
Yeah. Like, I honestly don't think I have. I believe I'm pretty good at, keeping myself accountable. I've never been someone to really shit on myself too often or anything like that. So, no, I haven't really figured it out. I've never had that sort of, fuck, I'm getting, too hard on myself, because maybe this is a sign of me being too hard on myself, but I still to this day always think I could be doing more.
What does more look like for you, though? When you say you could be doing more, what does that actually mean practically?
I think just like apart from, there's certain aspects in your life, there's only so well you can do. When you go to the gym and push yourself for that 2 hours that you're there and you go 100%, that is your all, right? But I think the periods of the day where you might be scrolling on TikTok, or, you need to do this one thing and you put it off for 2 weeks and you think, I should have just done that 2 weeks ago. Like, I remember, I think it was Chris Williams said, if I put a gun to your head and said, can you work harder, could you do it? And I remember he said that, and I was like, 100% I could. I know within myself I could be working harder, whether that be through my business, whether that be through studying, whether that be through whatever that looks like, you know what I mean? But I always knew there could be more. But when you say, what does more look like to me? I just think, I especially in my business, I know I can be doing more, you know what I mean? I know there's more to give. I know there's a lot more that I could be doing in terms of learning new things, connecting with new people. And, sometimes you subconsciously stop yourself from actually growing because what you're doing right now is working so well, and it's hard to actually venture off to you. I heard this the other day, you sort of put a ceiling on yourself because what you're doing right now is working so well that you're comfortable, and it's actually like a fear of going to that next level because you're like, more means fucking more work. More work means less time and all the extra shit. So I think there's that uncomfortability of actually growing. I don't know if you've ever heard of fear of success. When you actually think, fuck, the more I do, like this is just going to get more hectic and hectic. You know what I mean?
So you start to self-sabotage a bit, distract yourself.
That's definitely one thing I'm bad for it. Like, self-sabotaging without even realizing. It's almost like when everything's going so well, I'll do something not intentionally. It just sort of happened, and I'm like, fuck, why did I do that? Or why, like, there'll be a day where I meant to film, and then I'm like, no, we won't film today. I just don't have it. And then at the end of the day, I think, why did I do that? I needed to film, or I needed to do this, or whatever. But I think it gets to a point where you sort of, I just lost what I was saying.
Where do you, with this whole thing with social media, as you know, social media is a massive lottery. So intentionality, it's one of the greatest things, and also the inbuilt negatives as well, where like you can spend 1,000 hours on social media and get 1 unit of output, versus you can put 1 unit of input and get 1,000 out, because that's just how the algorithm works, right? So how do you think about being intentional with something like social media? Because I look at some of the strategy behind your social media, and it seems very well thought out. Some of the secret, like recipe hacks and all this stuff. Like, from an outside perspective, I think, wow, it's genius, very strategic. Are you thinking about intentionality before you do these things?
Yes and no. So like with the idea of, I actually had this conversation the other day, like scripting videos and doing all this stuff and studying hooks and going on YouTube and understanding how the algorithm works. Never done any of that in my life. Like I've never been one to learn that way. I learned by getting my mate and say, do you want to film me? He's like, what do you want to film? I'm like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. And that's how I started my journey. I'm such a big advocate on, you can't learn how to drive a car on a computer. Like, yeah, you know when you get your learners and you do a little fucking test, that means fuck all. Until you actually sit in the driver's seat and start driving, you could go on YouTube and research everything you want on how to drive a car. It means fuck all. So like with the social media aspect, I think everyone overthinks the whole process before they've even stepped foot in front of a camera, whereas I did the complete opposite. Put the camera in front of me, hopefully hopefully I'll have something to say. And a lot of the times that's literally how it comes to, of once the camera's in front of me, this is my bread and butter. I've fucking made these recipes. I've lived this life. These are all the things that I've created problems, or I've had problems in my life and I've overcome them. Let's make a video about it. I didn't have time to meal prep when I was working in construction. Fuck, there's probably a million other people out there that are also having that problem. So I just identified the problems in my own life. There had to be a point where I overcame them problems. All of my little cheat codes and recipes are just problems that I've had and I know other people will benefit from. And the only thing that I look at with my content is you need to provide something that the viewer can actually take away. Like I see so many videos these days and it's like, I watched that video, I didn't really gain anything from it. You know what I mean? It was just like a load of fuck all. Whereas I look at every video that I post, is someone going to save this video? I think a save is the best metric, because when you save a video, it's like, oh, I'll come back and watch this. That was good. I want to know more about this. That was like a really interesting video, right? 90% of my content, I do the sole purpose for people to save the video. It's a cheat code that you've never seen before. It's a value-driven aspect that people have never even heard of. You know what I mean? So I think, yes, you could do 1,000 things and get fuck all out of it. You could do one thing and get it all out of it. But I think at the end of the day, if you got shit content, you're going to get shit views. The algorithm's not going to want it. At the end of the day, Instagram, TikTok, all of these apps have the same goal as you, is to keep people on their platform. So if you can provide a video that keeps people on their platform, they're going to favorite you. You know what I mean? So I've always looked at it with the social media aspect of, what can I show someone that they're going to watch and go, that was valuable. I've just learned something new. I've just learned something that I didn't know before. You know what I mean?
From what I've seen, creators who make content for themselves end up making it for thousands of people, because everyone goes, like, what's personal is universal. What you go through, everyone is going through. A fair few amount of people are going through. But when you try and mold the perfect post video to the audience, you have this very diluted, incoherent sort of thing. But you focus on yourself, you focus on the practicalities of that, it resonates, because a lot of people are going through some very, very similar things.
100%. I hear so many people. I was even talking to my mate about this the other day. He hasn't started posting content because he doesn't know what to post. I said, brother, you've never posted a video. You've got a billion things to post. Like I've posted now, close to 200, and I'm not even at the point where I've got nothing to post. There's endless videos to post. Like I think, exactly like you said, people are like, oh, I don't know what the audience wants to see. It's like, what do you make for breakfast? Scrambled eggs, make a video on it. How do you get to when you don't feel like going to the gym, how do you do it? Oh, I do this, blah, blah, blah. Make a video on it. Like there's so many things that I think if people just looked at their own life and understood the problems that they had once upon a time and now they work around it, other people would benefit from that. Whereas most people making content are trying to solve problems that aren't even theirs. They're trying to like create a problem that apparently this audience has, and then the video doesn't do well, and it's just a never-ending cycle. Where I think if you start making your content on just stuff that you know and you have experienced yourself, exactly like you said, there's going to be thousands of people out there that are probably in your exact shoes and go, fuck, I'm experiencing that. That's such a good way to get around that. I never would have thought that. You know what I mean? I
think a lot of it comes from people's fear of not feeling like they're worthy of sharing their own experiences or solving their own problems, looking at themselves as being the valuable thing. They're trying to, like you said, solve problems from their level of knowledge rather than being like, hey, I've taken these steps from 1 to 5. What was it like? How did I do it? How can I give that to someone else who's in a similar position?
Exactly. Like I said, I've probably posted 200 videos now, and there's only a handful of videos that I've actually gone out and done the video. Like, you know, I've done a recipe that I didn't make. There's only a handful of videos that I've gone out and actually, I haven't, you know, say maybe done that cheat code or whatever the fuck it may be. All of my videos are literally just stuff that I've done over and over and over again, to the point where you get so far in this journey and you forget that everything you do in your day-to-day life isn't quote unquote normal. You know what I mean? Like, you get so complacent with going to the gym every day, meal prepping, you do all this stuff, and exactly like you said, people are so normalized by their own lifestyle where they don't think it's interesting enough. They don't think that what they do every day has value in it. And I'm like, I know for a fact, because I was there working in construction and I knew nothing. I'm like, all these little things that I've overcome, I knew from day one, as soon as I can put this on social media, there's going to be people out there that are going to benefit from this, because like I benefited from it. I experienced, you know, pathways where I didn't know how to do a certain thing, and then I made a video on it, and then the next person gets to learn from my mistakes. You know what I mean?
And you learn from the action of posting. An experience creates information about it. You like, what went well? Did you enjoy making it? How was it received? What was the feedback? And that information forms, I guess, the basis for even further action, and then creates inspiration. It's this incredible feedback loop, but people are just stuck at the start line thinking, I can't win this race. I can't finish the race. Brother, you haven't even taken one foot.
Started. Like, I'm such a big believer on that. People, let's go to the race analogy. People will worry about how to fucking win the race, and they haven't even started it. Like, you haven't even fucking set foot on the track yet. Like, especially with social media. I know Mr. B said, if I told you your 101 video was going to blow up, would you start posting? If I told you that 101, the one video after your 100 first videos gets 1 million views and you get 100,000 followers, how quick are you going to start posting? You know what I mean? Like, social media is literally a lottery ticket. If I told you, I'll give you a lottery ticket every day, you have the chance of winning, the same as everyone else does. Would you take it? Of course you would. So why don't people post on social media? Because there is thousands of people out there that have made one video that completely changed their fucking life, you know?
I think it's because the disparity between the certainty of getting the success versus like the certainty of getting hate, judgment, feeling that is so ingrained in the process of posting. Like, you're going to get negative comments, you're going to feel judged. That is a certainty. But there's so much uncertainty with getting a return on your investment. So this massive gap between the certainty of failure and the uncertainty of success, it creates this feeling of, what's the point?
Yeah. And that's where I've come to in my journey, and I'll probably say the biggest thing that I've learned over the last sort of 6 months is that a lot of the things that I experience aren't what everyone experiences, or the things that I've gone through, or the way I learn things, or whatever the fuck that may be. Because, for example, hate. As weird as it sounds, I fucking wanted hate. I remember when I first started posting, I said to my mate, I'm not getting hate yet, my content's not getting pushed. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, if there's not one person that disagrees with what I'm saying, my video has not been seen to enough people. It doesn't matter how good of a video you've done. I make a video in Kmart, I show you a recipe, I show you a gym fucking hack. There's people hating on me, right? But for some weird reason, from day dot was like, I can't wait till I get hate. Because I remember looking at the biggest creators. You look at your favorite creator, you go to his comment section, it's just toxic. Like, it's just full of hate, right? But I grew up with older brothers, I grew up with mates, I grew up with a lot of people that we just took the piss out of each other non-stop. So when I started posting on social media, it's like, bro, there's nothing someone on fucking TikTok with a fake account could say that I'm going to sit there at the end of the night, at the end of the day and go, fuck, this TikTok person said I'm small, or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Like, I truly believe, and that's where I have come to the realization a lot of the things, or, you know, the perspectives that I have are different to a lot of people, you know. I think you need to go into the mindset, at least if you're not, you know, some people aren't open to hate as much as I am. I fucking love it. I'm probably bad with it. I'll reply to every comment and I'll go back and forth, because I think if I've made a video and you have the power to take time out of your day to comment on it, you've done me a favor. I've obviously made a good enough video to stop you in your pathway to comment on my video. So I always thought, fuck it, what's a hate comment? Like, at the end of the day, don't post on social media if you're scared of getting hate, right? Like, I think be open to the present, like, be open to that. Exactly like you said. Certainty, 100%. If you start posting on social media and it does well, you're going to get hated on. So why not be okay with it? Why not take it on head on? Why not just be, fuck yeah, give me as much hate as you want? I think it's wrong to go out there and intentionally make a video to get hate. Like, you know, say some controversial stuff. I think that's where you're stepping out your lane. But if you know at the end of the day, you're making valuable content that thousands of people can benefit from, just because 2 of them are fucking crying in your comments does not mean it needs to ruin your day. If anything, I fucking love it. It's like, fuck yeah.
As long as you're staying true to yourself, embrace, I guess, the certainty that hate will come. It's a good indicator, I reckon. It's a good indicator.
100%.
Because I think too many people, we're too scared to receive hate. So I guess we self-sabotage and we don't say things that are authentic to us. So we cushion our own...
Start becoming a person you're not because you're scared of the hate on your own opinions.
We cushion our truth. We soften, we mold what we want to say to please everyone. And when you please everyone, you can't. And you end up not appealing to anyone.
100%. And like Higher Up Wellness said, shout out to Higher Up Wellness, like I forgot what I was going to say. What were we just saying?
Something like if you're loved by everyone, if you're hated by no one, you're loved by no one.
With the hate comments, like they can only hurt you to the degree that you think they're true. If you look at any of my comments, I just get called Adam Sullivan fucking 1,000 times over. But I don't give a fuck because I know I have never copied him. I've never gone out and looked at his video and said, let's do a fucking spin kick. You know, I do things in my videos. The amount of times I've recorded a video and said cunt and I'd say, nah, let's go again because it feels like I'm copying him, right?
Mm.
If I truly was copying him and I had people commenting, you're copying Adam Sullivan, I would feel like a piece of shit. You know what I mean? If I believed it was true, it would actually intentionally hurt me. But and that's where I look at hate is it's not necessarily a bad thing because I think especially starting off with social media, there's been some hate comments or at least some of people's opinions where I'm like, I value, that was a good one. Like I probably needed to hear that. Maybe I was getting a little bit too much in my video or maybe I shouldn't have said that. You know what I mean? Mm. But the other stuff that's just pure hate that people are just that unhappy and fucking hate their life that have to come on your video time and time again and hate on you, unless you believe what they're saying is true, I really don't think it should take anything out of your day. Like I don't care for anyone's opinion unless I believe it's actually true. If someone were to tell me you're overweight and fat, I'd be like, it's not true. Why would I care about it? You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people don't understand the aspect of hate of if it's an opinion, it's not a fact. There's two different things. If someone's putting their opinion onto you, who gives a fuck? Fair enough if they're pointing out a fact that you said something wrong in your video and you probably shouldn't have said that or you called people out or whatever you did was wrong, that's a fact. But if someone's got an opinion on you and it's not true, who gives a fuck? Like I'm so big on anyone can hate on my social media. I know there's everyone says you get 100 nice comments and you get one hate comment and that will outweigh. I think fuck that. There's 100 people that took inspiration from my video. How good is that? Who gives a fuck about the one sad sack that's crying? You know what I mean? Mm. I'm like, if this person, I don't know about you, but do you know anyone in your life that actually goes on hate comments? Like imagine actually having you have to swap accounts and you go into your fake account and you go comment hate on people's profile.
Yeah, you
imagine actually living that
being
life.
That
and I think it's so funny because when people were scared of the hate, I'm like, you got to remember these people hating on you. This motherfucker could be a 40-year-old grown man or a 12-year-old kid. You don't even know who it is. It's a fake account. Who gives a flying fuck who they are? Like it's literally, it's just brush it off, you know?
Totally agree. Where do most people go wrong with weight loss?
Quick drink break. Again, like what we were sort of saying before, focusing on the finish line before they've even started. A lot of people ask me, what's the easiest way to lose weight? And my first response is, why does it need to be easy? Or what's the fastest way to lose weight? And I'm like, why does it need to be fast? Why can't you accept the fact that this is going to be a long journey? If you've got 20 kilos to lose, brother, that's not going to be a fast journey. You know what I mean? Like, I think the where people go wrong is they underestimate what they can do in a week. Overestimate what they can do in a week, but underestimate what they can do in sort of 3 months. Like people go, I've been to the gym for a week and I look the same. This is fucked. You know what I mean? Like I expected so much more. But then when we're 8 weeks or 3 months down the track and they've lost 10, 15 kilos and you're like, fuck, I didn't think I'd be here. So I'm like, a lot of people, again, that's where most people go wrong. They want it all right now and aren't willing to accept the fact that this journey is going to take time. And if you're not willing to accept that this journey is going to take time, then maybe stay overweight because you're like, people are always looking for the easiest way out, the fastest way, the biggest fucking, how can I make this easy? Why does it have to be easy? Why can't you just face the fact that there's going to be days that you don't want to go to the gym? There's going to be days where you want Maccas and you can't eat Maccas. Like there's going to be days where you just got to accept that this is probably going to take some time. I've got 10 kilos to lose. I think people set unrealistic expectations. Like I hear so many people come to me and I say, what's your goals in the next 8 weeks? I want to lose 15 kilos. I'm like, well, fuck. Let's stop ourselves there. Like let's set a realistic expectation for one and just agree to the fact that this journey is going to take a big chunk of change. Like this is going to take a lot of time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You know what I mean? And that's where I think people overestimate and like already get scared by the fact of actually changing. And I think that's where people go wrong.
Well, the longer journey of change is actually more beneficial. Not only physiologically is it actually better for our body to adapt slower, but also it starts to build in patterns and habits over a longer period of time, which makes you more likely to stick with the thing. Because I think people obviously change from this real place of fear, and they're like, they just don't want this overweight version of themselves to exist. They want to lose the weight, shed it
as fast as possible.
And then they don't want to embrace loving the process of going to the gym. Is that something you focus on, reframing people's, I guess, mindset towards the gym? Instead of being a place to remove a problem, it's actually a place to enjoy and love the journey of becoming healthier.
100%, and that's why I became a coach. And I say to all my clients that I sort of start with is, You've told me you want to lose 5 kilos in the next 3 months, 10 kilos in the next 3 months, whatever our goal is. All right, we've set that. Let's forget about it. My sole purpose for you is to let's enjoy the process. As soon as I can create a meal plan for you and a training plan that you're willing and like enjoy showing up, you'll lose the weight. And I say this to every one of my clients. I can guarantee you, if you just follow what I give you, you enjoy it. I mean, you will get the results. So I think the goal itself, that will come. But if you can learn to actually enjoy the process, like I know so many of my clients that have come, they said they want to lose, like the big one for me is 8 kilos in 8 weeks. They said they want to do that. And I'm like, cool, we've got a goal. Let's just forget about that for now. Week 1, all right, I want to lose a kilo this week. Let's figure out the short-term goals and let's actually make sure we're enjoying the process. If you don't like your meal plan, let me know. I'll change that tomorrow. If you don't like the training, if you don't want to go to the gym 5 days a week, let me change that, because I want to make the process as enjoyable as possible. Because at the end of the day, 75 hard, yeah, fuck, this is sick. What happens on day 76? You just go back to your old ways. Like I'm so big on, it's not necessarily an 8-week goal. It's a lifestyle change. You don't like this is why I'm so big. Like I don't like the keto and all this sort of stuff. Yes, there's benefits to it, but it's a short-term fix. It's losing a lot of fucking weight that's not sustainable, and you're not going to stick to that. I'm so big on let's stretch it out a little bit longer. Let's make this a lifestyle change that you can actually stick to. Let me give you a meal plan that you can actually enjoy and stick to long term. You know, you hear people, I did keto and I lost 12 kilos, and I'm like, oh, where you at now? And they're like, oh, I put it back on. And I'm like, exactly. Like a lot of these things are, when people ask me, what do you think of them? And I'm like, I'm probably like unexperienced on the actual side effects on, you know, I think you said one time there's a lot of different effects on carnivore, keto. There's other preachers to do with mental health and fasting and that. I'm probably unexperienced on that side of things, but if we're solely talking on losing weight, let's make it sustainable. Why overnight you want to cut out 100 of the foods you eat? Good luck with that. You're not going to be able to do it. Like people want to go 0 to 100 overnight. It's like, why don't we just focus on eating a bit more protein, getting a bit more steps? Sweet, we've done that week 1. Let's focus on better sleep next week. Week 3 comes around. Do you want to go to the gym? You know what I mean? Like let's focus on a lifestyle change, because a lot of the times when people change from 0 to 100 overnight, Monday to Friday they're good. They go to the weekend, they're fucked. They're just having a blowout. Like, oh, you know what I mean? They're just going out drinking or back to their old ways. I think it needs to be sustainable, you know?
That's why 90%, I think it's over 90% of people on The Biggest Loser put back on all the weight.
Yeah.
Because they're not changing their underlying beliefs. Like a lot of the subconscious beliefs that they have is, I'm fat, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. And they go through a short change. They might do carnivore, keto, you know, a 1 month change, but their whole mindset towards this experience is to run away from who they are. And then as soon as, you know, something happens and they retreat back into it, that fear, that victim mentality, the voice of I'm not good enough is so easy to slip back into. Whereas if you can frame this experience as a lifestyle adjustment, you can start to filter more love and positive energy towards it. You can actually start to wire in new underlying beliefs that can actually change your identity, create long-term change that is sustainable, which is why I think there is an immense benefits to short-term diets for medical emergencies, is proven. But the average, I'd say 95% of people, that they don't need that. They honestly don't need that. They don't have chronic diseases that require them to do an extreme thing. They just need to stretch the timeline, change their expectations. But the one thing I think people lack is accountability. So how do you frame that with your coaching?
So through my coaching, the accountability, I try to be as coachable, like as personalized as I possibly can, right? Client A versus client B, or whoever it is, my mate, or the way I like to be coached is different to the way I like to coach my clients, right? I like to be told things how the fuck they are. If I fuck up, tell me. I want to be told right then and there. Whereas some people like it a little bit more, You know, how are you going this week? Are we traveling good? And I'm a big believer on people think if you're not at 100% of the time, you're just fucked, right?
As a coach or a client?
As a client, right? So staying accountable, they think, oh, I'm not 100%. Yeah, I'm just like everything's gone wrong. Where I'm like 80% of the time, if you can follow most of the things that I give you, and you know, and I can keep you accountable along the way, you're going to be fine that 20% of the time to go off track. Whereas people go this all or nothing mindset. If they, you know, come to a Saturday and they have one off plan meal, next minute they've had 5,000 calories over their plan. They've had ice cream. They've went to Yochi and stuff like that. Where I'm like, if you can just treat it as 80% of the time where you follow it, and on a Saturday morning you go out with your friends and your family for a breakfast meal, and you just get back on track. Like just keeping yourself accountable along the way of, it's not this all or nothing approach. Because as soon as that it is, like people just fall off track straight away. You know what I mean? It's
all from fear. Like it's all like, if I eat this bad thing, it's going to lead me to spiral down.
Yeah.
Look, I've gone down that route of the fear thing, and I've adopted way more of a balanced approach in the last couple of months. And mentally, you offload this huge amount of pressure that you put on yourself. A lot of it, you know, your mind is telling you like, oh, this is incredible. Because it creates purpose. So when you're sticking to it, you're feeling good. Dopamine's rising because you're almost excited by this change. You're looking in the mirror way more. You're like, I'm evolving. I'm looking better.
Yeah, yeah.
But then the moment that you eat something off track, off meal, that devil's voice, that is loud. That is bloody loud because you're operating from this very fearful, energetic state. But it's hard to find that balance because what I've noticed within myself is it can also easily, you know, 80-20 can end up go to 70-30 and then can go to 60-40. And if it goes to 60-40 for a week, that's okay if you can, you know, become aware of that. But I think people don't have enough self-awareness to identify their own patterns. They shift back to old patterns. That's why I do think coaching and at least a strong accountability circle is so important because it's so easy to shift back into old patterns.
100%. And a lot of my clients, I tell them when we get on our initial call, I can tell straight away, is this person going to see some really good results or is it going to be a very big struggle for them to see results? Because some people, you get on the call and they're like, I've tried this, this hasn't worked, I've tried this, it doesn't work. And I'm like, fuck, so you've got it. You know what it takes to do it. You've just been trying the wrong things. So I know if I can keep you accountable and give you the right plan, because a lot of people that are spinning their wheels, if they were trying that hard and seeing the results they want, they would love it. But when you're spinning your wheels and you're putting everything into your journey and you're seeing nothing, it's so hard for you to stay motivated. So I like me keeping people accountable is like, you've tried all of this stuff. None of it's worked. Then all of a sudden we give you this plan, we give you a meal plan, we give you a training plan. And in the first 2 weeks, you've seen more progress than you ever have before. You know what I mean? And instantly a lot of people, just by having that coach there, just by doing those check-ins, just by logging those workouts, already you're like a fucking 200% chance of you doing so much more because you're now probably doing less work. You're not trying to fucking figure it out yourself. You're not trying to, am I eating the right meals? Am I eating the right calories? Like the decision fatigue that you go through in your own journey, you do all of that to wear yourself out and then to not see the results. And then you get put on a proper plan and you see double the results in half the time and you've got someone there looking over your shoulder. Like I always say to my clients, this is no longer your journey. This is a two-man team. I'm here with you every step of the way. I want to, if you have a bad week, let me know. If you have a bad day, let me know. If you can't get to the gym, let me know. Like I'm here to support you every step of the way because a lot of the things that you're going to go through, I've already been through. I've coached people through, you know what I mean? So I usually have a very good understanding of, you know, a lot of the times it's, hey man, I really fucked up last night. I went out and I had this and I had a meal with my family and I'm like, it's fine. Like it's completely chill. And I really try to change people's mindsets on that. We get into the gym to better our lifestyle. If you're going to go out and have a meal with your family or your friends and, you know, enjoy it and then beat yourself up about it, that is unhealthy. You know what I mean? I train people to be like, the same as over Christmas. A lot of my clients said, oh, I really fucked up. And I'm like, what'd you do? Like, oh, I just had everything on Christmas. I said, that's perfect. That's what we want to do. Like, that's the reason we go to the gym, to be healthy, but to allow ourselves to actually enjoy those moments. It's different if you're eating like shit 90% of the time, you know what I mean? But if you're on track, you're following everything, this allows us to actually enjoy ourselves when we go to the beach. You know, we're confident to take our shirt off. Or when we go, you know, we might go to the cafe. And I know a lot of my clients have said, fuck, in the past, I would have just got anything. Now I have a good understanding on what's high in calories and what's low in calories. I'll probably order something better. And I'm like, this is the lifestyle change that so many people don't even realize that it just comes naturally. Once you start eating healthy, you go do those things. And I had one of my clients literally like a week ago said I had to go to Macca's. Like, it was just like I finished at 11 o'clock at night or whatever. It was the only place open, but I got myself a chicken aioli wrap with this and that. And I'm like, see how good that is? Like, most people just go, fuck, I'm getting Macca's. I may as well get a double quarter pounder. But I'm like, just making that change of, you know, I'm probably going off track, but I now understand what's going to do fucking 1,500 calories worth of damage and what's actually going to keep me on track. You know what I mean?
Do you think most people that you coach and you've worked with are limited more by energy and motivation or knowledge? Knowledge gaps.
Knowledge, definitely. I know a lot of my clients, at least. I think at the end of the day, the clients that I work with obviously resonate with me, and that's the reason they reach out to me, right? So a lot of my clients are really experiencing the same things that I went through. I was always the kid that I have the motivation, I have the work ethic, I'll do whatever. I just need to know what to do. And whatever that aspect is for me, when I started going to the gym, I was doing the stupidest shit, but I was still showing up every day. And a lot of my clients that, you know, come to me, it's like, exactly like I said, I'm trying all of these things. I've tried fucking keto. I've tried all these diets. Nothing's working. So I'm like, you've got the work ethic. You've got the motivation to do it. You just don't have the knowledge to know what you're doing. So a lot of the times it's, let's put you on actually something that's got a bit more structure. And they're like, fuck, I get to eat this much food. I was eating 1,200 calories or whatever that may be. You know what I mean? A lot of the times it's actually the opposite of, they start with the coaching and they're like, this is actually probably easier to follow than what I was doing, and I'm losing more weight, or whatever their goal is. You know what I mean? A lot of the times it's actually like that lack of knowledge that they're putting so much in to the point where they're actually getting nothing out of it. And then as soon as they, you know, transition and get onto a little bit of a plan, it's like, fuck, you know, they've already got the work ethic to follow it. And then it just sort of comes naturally, you know? I
think decision fatigue is massive, right? When someone has to constantly think about what to do, what to eat, when to train, am I progressing? I think that's why coaching in any aspect solves a lot of that, because it's hard to experience it firsthand or yourself to figure out all these little intricacies. It's like someone holding your hand through the journey, essentially.
Yeah. And I'm a big believer on that. Like I've literally just signed with my coach now. I dealt with a lot of injuries, and like last year, I pretty much was out of the gym for most of the year, and I've signed with a coach, and I had someone say, "Why aren't you a coach? Why have you got a coach?" And I'm like, fuck, someone still has to tell Steph Curry how to shoot a basketball. Like someone, you know what I mean? There's always going to be someone out there that knows a lot more than you. And no matter where you're at in your journey, I guarantee most coaches do actually have a coach themselves, because there's no way I know it all. There's someone out there that knows way more than me, and I could learn. And exactly like you said, decision fatigue. If I'm trying to coach all of my clients, and along the way I'm trying to calculate my meal plan and training plan and do all this sort of things, why not learn from some of the best in the business? Why not excel my knowledge through someone else? I truly believe if you're in a space of some sort of coaching and stuff like that, and you don't have your own coach, well, you don't obviously believe in your own service, because there's no coach in the world that could sit here and tell me they know it all. There's got to be some level of knowledge that someone knows more than you. You know what I mean?
100%. We all have blind spots, and that's why, like, I have worked with spiritual coaches and, you know, people to identify blind spots, because like you said, we don't have it all. And I think the big one is, like, if you believe in it yourself, then why wouldn't you do that thing as well?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think are some of the biggest issues that men face in society? Like within, I guess, to do with mental health, for example. Why do you think so many men are struggling?
I'm not quite sure in terms of just like in general, or to do with their fitness, or like.
Well, like you've worked with a lot of men and some people who are overweight or on this journey. You've probably got some experiences. I'm wondering what you've sort of resonated with people or seen and observed that is like a common thread amongst these people, to do with how they feel about themselves, and I guess why there is such an issue with men's mental health.
I guess of like when it goes back to like not a lack of a purpose, but I think when you have some sort of goal, whatever that goal looks like for you, when you have something to work towards, those bad days or, you know, the mental health days or whatever you go through, you've still got that underlying message and you got that why reason to keep moving forward, right? But if you don't have anything to actually motivate you to get out of bed in the morning, like, you know, no one wants to get out of bed in the morning. When you hear your alarm, no one wants to get the fuck out of bed, but just some people have got a reason to get out of bed. So a lot of the times that, you know, people are going through these mental health crisis, and I'm like, a lot of people are experiencing the exact same things as you, but they have something underlying to motivate them to push through that, because I've been there where you don't have that underlying motivation and you fall into those sort of, you know, bad mental health days, and you struggle a lot because you don't actually have anything to push you through that circumstance. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people would benefit from actually working towards something. Like even as small as, you know, you hear people that have a trip to Bali in 6 months, and leading up to that trip, everyone's motivated. They probably start eating a bit healthier, whatever it may be. They're always like, when you're working towards anything, it doesn't have to be starting a business or doing something extraordinary. It's just little stuff. You know what I mean? You might have a wedding coming up, or there's always some event coming up, or some little goal that you have that would just keep you motivating to pushing forward. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think people, a lot of the mindset with the mental health is no one understands what I'm going through. It's like a lot of people understand what you're going through. More people than what you probably think understand exactly what you're going through. You know what I mean? Just some people understand how to navigate it a little bit better than others, and some people have probably experienced it a little bit earlier in their journey. I think having a goal and a circle around you. Like there's been some people in my life that, I literally don't know how I would have got out of that hole that I was in without them, because there was so many things I didn't understand. Why am I doing this? Why can't I go to the gym? Like I'm doing things that, for example, I'd never have done before, and I didn't understand why am I in such a rut right now that I'm a very outgoing, talkative person. There's been periods in my life I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to speak to anyone. I don't want to see anyone. I'm like, that's so weird. But I think, again, going back to that, when you have that underlying motivation that you know you got to get up, or at least you have a person to speak to, because I truly believe everyone has at least one person that they know that, you know, will give them the time of day and actually sit down and have a chat with them, because you really don't know. A lot of people, again, not overestimate, but are scared to actually reach out to someone. The best thing that I've ever done in any low points of my life is reach out to a mate. And it was fucking hard. It was so hard. I was like, I'm so, you know, I don't want to speak to anyone when I'm in a low point. As soon as I did, it's like, fuck, I should have done that way earlier. You know what I mean? I just reached out to that person. It's not like he was a magic he just told me his point of view on maybe I should try this. And I'm like, fuck, that's all I needed. You know, I just needed to reach out to someone and hear their perspective, because when you're in a low point, the only perspective you have is your own. And a lot of the times that's negative as fuck. So when you have someone else's opinion on the other side of the fence to say, you know, this and, you know, bro, it's actually not that bad. Like you maybe try this and that. And it changes everything, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's one of the biggest fallacies when you are struggling is, you know, I'm the egocentric bias. I'm the only one who's gone through this, but so many people struggle and are still constantly going through challenges. I think it's like the whole pre-framing of the gym journey. It's the one about life. Like the reason you do this inner work, or I preach mindset work, is not because it's about making life easier and about removing the problem. It's about becoming stronger. Life won't get easier, but you will get stronger. And that's the whole thing with the gym and working on yourself, regardless of what it is. It's not about, it's how you frame the thing. You do the thing to become stronger, to become more resilient, to become more equipped, not to step out of the field, not to stop playing the game. That's not the purpose of the journey.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm saying. And like, when people think, oh, no one else goes through what I'm going through, like I'm overweight, I don't want to go to the gym. I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym. You know what I mean? Like I could be going through the exact same thing that you're going through right now, but I've just learned myself on what's going to get me through this rut, what's going to get me to the point of getting through this. Because exactly like you said, like everyone traps themselves into side of, and I did it bad. Like when I had that breakup, I remember thinking like, nah, just no one understands this. And then I'm like, fuck bro, everyone's been through a breakup. Everyone knows what this feels like. And you sort of, I always zoom out when I'm in a bad point. Like when I zoom out into my entire life, I think this, like, how I feel right now, like in the grand scheme of things, really does not fucking matter. Like probably in a year's time, I will not even remember this moment happen. Like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't even remember I was sitting here on a Saturday night and having negative thoughts. A lot of the times when you can actually zoom out and understand it is very hard to do when you're in that situation.
Yeah, how do you do that? Because most people zoom in.
So I'm very big on zooming out. Like, especially when I went through that breakup, I remember thinking, as weird as this sounds, I remember thinking when I was deep into that breakup, I was like, this is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to me. It has to be. If I'm here, the only pathway I can go is up. I can't get lower. I'm fucking sad as shit. Like, how much worse can I feel, right? So I knew that my life can only get better from here. If I've just fucking plummeted down, I'm at rock bottom, my life can only get better. And that was how I always looked at it. And that's when I say, here's an example, right? Peak breakup. Weekend, did not leave the house. I was fucked. Did not want to do anything. On Monday morning, but still working in construction, driving to work, you know, teary eyes, thinking this is fucked. Like, I'm actually going to work right now. This is fucked. It's like, fuck it. Literally so close to calling my boss to say I'm not coming in. Like, on the verge. I went to, we always did like coffees. I stopped on the way to work, got 4 coffees. There was 4 of us. Walked in with everyone with a coffee, and everyone, what's that for? I said, no, all good. Just good start of the week. Walked in with a smile on my face. Everyone else is happy. All of a sudden, I feel fucking 100 times better. You know, and 10 minutes ago, I'm thinking, fuck. And it wasn't, you know, people could say that's unhealthy and putting a fake smile on. But again, like I said at the start of this podcast, I don't think it is. I think, you know, you would probably know more about it than me, but when you smile for a minute straight, you trick your brain into thinking you're happy. When I rocked up with coffees, they're like, when I'm smiling and all the boys at work are going, what the fuck? Cheers, mate. Why you didn't have to do that? I'm immediately like, fuck, this feels good, you know, because I could have walked into there, sat on the fucking corner and just been a sad sack all day. I could have, because I was going through some deep shit. I could have gone home. I could have done so many things, but I thought, what's something that's going to make me feel better? And that's exactly what I did. And that's sort of that. I give that analogy so many times onto my outlook on life of, doesn't matter what you're going through. I truly don't believe it doesn't give you a reason to be rude to another person. It doesn't mean you rock up and, you know, you don't say hello to someone just because you've had a shit weekend or you're going through some stuff. You know, like you don't know what other people are going through. So what gives you the right to rock up and treat other people with being rude or disrespect or anything? I did the opposite, and I rocked up that day, bang, instantly I was like, fuck, it's going to be all right. It's going to be fine, you know?
I really love that framework and that perspective. I think there's a massive balance and a struggle between validating how you feel, but also choosing to be positive. And like, you don't want to repress an emotion and experience. You don't want to invalidate, you know, feeling hurt from the relationship, because you want to use that as a fuel source to improve. But you also, at the same time, don't want to sit in a feeling and sink yourself. So I think I think what people struggle with, I guess, is this fine line between validating how they feel, but then and accepting it, and then also choosing now to move on and choose positivity.
I guess the probably step that I missed is exactly like that. Struggling, didn't speak to anyone, spoke to my mate, and he said, like, you're probably, from his perspective, he said, I think you're pushing it away. Like, you're really trying to hide it. Like, he's like, you need to feel what it feels like to go through a breakup. As bad as it sounds, where you are right now, if you were to go out and keep distracting yourself, you're going to make it worse. So I think if someone's going through a bad point in their life, feel it. Fucking get to that bottom of the rut. Get to rock bottom. Like, there was times there where I was mid breakup. The night of, I obviously drove home, and I just put on fucking, like, not some sad songs, but whatever songs that were on.
No, you got the sad songs.
Yeah, I got like 3 sad songs, and I literally replayed these things for half an hour driving around crying. And I was like, I'm gonna feel this. I'm gonna feel what it feels like to be at the lowest point. Like, I think exactly like you said, there's a fine line between distracting yourself and pushing it off, because I did that. I definitely did that for a period of time there. And then it come crashing down. And I thought I'd probably, you know, and you learn from that. But I think when you're going through a bad point, feel what it feels like. As bad as it sounds, if you're going through a breakup, if you're whatever bad point you're in, feel it. Fucking go through it. Sit there for a day and don't leave the house, and like get like real into it. Get emotional, whatever that feels like for you. Because the more you push that away, like, I wouldn't have been able to do that Monday morning if I didn't on the weekend feel it. If I was trying to push it away, and I get to work and I'm still pushing it off, like, nah, it's fuck all, it's not anything. I address, this is massive. I've never felt like this in my life. You know what I mean? Like I said to you, like, there was times where I didn't want to leave the house. That is so weird for me. I'm such an outgoing person. For me to not want to speak to anyone, I was like, this is weird. But when I didn't leave the house, I thought, let's just fucking feel this emotion. It is a real fucking emotion. I feel real right now. I need to feel every second of this. And then by the time sort of comes, you start to work away from it, you know?
I love that. And I think the key is just to honor how you truly feel, and a feeling, like you said, leads to healing. And I think people miss that step. They want to go straight from the hard experience to the growth. And I think, especially now, there's a self-improvement movement, right? Which is like, you know, hard experiences are the key to growth. Sometimes people miss that journey. People miss the journey that, like, hey, you have to endure. And sometimes there's not a timeline that says it's going to be 2 weeks or a week. There's no set point. I think people need to be able to be vulnerable enough to experience it, because it's bloody hard to lean into uncomfortable emotions. For my journey, it used to be just run away. Anytime I felt that, it's just, nah, how can I reframe it? Or most of the time it was just distract, because how much easier. But the more you keep pushing it down, the more you just you remove this energy source, right? Like these emotions, energy in motion, it's powerful fuel source. But when you repress it, it just gets stored in your body, and it's heavy, and you can't do anything with that. But when you feel it, you hold it in, and then you're able to actually use that to be a catalyst. And when you actually do the positive thing now, when you get the coffees, that's genuine. Like that's you choosing a positive thing. You felt that, and now you're choosing this rather than you forcing yourself to be positive and people tell me to be positive. It's not from a really authentic place.
Exactly. And I think when you're in that low point, a big thing that I actually did was, all right, you're in this position, understand what the worst case fucking scenario was. In a breakup, you're never getting back with that person. That is the worst case scenario, and be okay with it. And that's what I did. I remember writing it down. I literally wrote that question down. What's the worst case scenario? I said we never get back together. That right now, that is the worst case scenario, and I got to be okay with it. You know what I mean? I feel like understanding that, people, if you're in a low point, people only think of the good times, or people only think of, what could happen. Should I try get back with her, or should this happen? It's like, why don't you go the opposite way and understand this is the worst case scenario in where I'm at right now. I'm all right with that because it might happen. You know what I mean? Whereas if you have expectations of, I might get back with her, I've got a chance, and it doesn't happen, you're going to feel like even more shit. I think understanding the worst case scenario, the worst possible case, whatever that looks like for you, and being all right with it. You got to move past it,
100%. If you surrender to the worst possible case, the fear subsides because it's feeding on the hope.
Yeah.
The fear feeds on hope. And once you remove that and you're saying, so what, I can, and you accept whatever happens, you feel it. Like you do experience the loss of hope. You're grieving all this, I guess, your future that you thought was going to happen, the memories, parts of yourself that were entangled with this person. It's bloody tough. And I've been through it. It's tough. But not only now is that a fuel source, but I can guarantee you that experience will make you appreciate the good now more. So I've been in a relationship for a long time now, and those hard experiences have made me appreciate what I have now to an extent that I couldn't appreciate. Even different aspects of the relationship, like the hard times create the positive appreciation, but no one wants to endure it. But if you can at least hold front of mind, because this is what I do when I go through hard things, is I know that time will keep fucking passing. That's a one guaranteed. So if you have a belief and confidence just to hold on, it might be shit, but just hold on, keep sticking with it. Eventually that hard experience will pave the way for a more enjoyable experience, character growth. You're going to become a better person. It's just the more you repress and you have this shameful relationship with it, you stay stuck. You stay stuck and trapped to this emotion. But if you surrender, if you face it, it's gone and it goes away.
100%. I couldn't agree more,
Yeah. All right. So to wrap up, take us through what's on the horizon for Liam.
Oh, that's a good one. I have, a lot of sort of goals that I like to share with people, and then a lot of goals that, I like to keep to myself and sort of work towards. But I think I just want to do everything that I'm doing now, but to a bigger scale, to a better scale. I think a lot of times you come to New Year's resolutions and whatever, and I'm such a big believer. I love the New Year's resolutions. I think it's good. I think a lot of people shit on New Year's resolutions, but I think it's a good time of year to actually, work on yourself and actually see what you can improve on. But I think when you get to a point in your life, you just want to keep doing what you're doing, but just do it better. Like I think last year I did so much of chasing all the shiny things. I went to a retreat. I went to a PT event over in Gold Coast. I met some of my biggest inspirations. I had all this stuff on my list. It's like, sweet, I've had that, and I think this year is really time to like knuckle down and just focus on everything that I'm doing rather than going out and doing those sort of things. Don't get me wrong, it was the best experience of my life, but this year my main goal is to focus on exactly what I'm doing, posting my content, helping people, changing lives through my through my coaching, and just do everything that I'm doing now, but to a bigger scale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, love that. Any concluding thoughts to wrap up the conversation?
No, I'm pretty happy with that. It was good.
That was awesome. Well,
a couple of drinks of water and
yeah. Hey, well, you undersold yourself. You said you'd go to the toilet multiple times. So
yeah, we did.
You've done well. It's an hour 20. So
fuck. What really? Hour 20.
Goes quick, hey.
What the fuck? I thought it was like 40 minutes.
Nah, mate. That's the thing what I've learned is when you're enjoying something, time flies, but it comes back to the hard experience. It feels like forever. So being able to realize that, because the good times feel like they just go, and then you suddenly feel like you're stuck in this shit moment. So yeah, time does always go quick with a good conversation.
Yeah,
so.
that's crazy. If you would have told me we were going to speak for an hour and 20, I'd be fucked.
Yeah, you would have gone in. You would have been like,
thinking,
fuck.
how
How am I going to talk that long?
But no, it was good. Like I said, I wanted to do this podcast for a while, and it was good to finally do it. I think it's good to come on and express my sort of opinions and, you know, my perspectives on life, because, you know, through my social media, a lot of people that follow me now probably don't even know who the fuck I am. They have no clue who I am, what I've gone through, or why I am a coach or anything, you know what I mean? So it's cool to come on here. Hopefully I've taught someone something. Maybe not.
Liam, thank you. I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, giving us some good insights. Appreciate you
having me, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you.